Hi, I'm MarzGurl.
I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
Welcome to episode 81 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover Season 2, Episode 30 of City Hunter, titled, Ryo, Please Be Deceived, Present to a Girl from Sayako. I really like this episode.
I don't have complaints about this episode.
There's no direct assault, but Ryo did have it on his mind.
And also, the only person who actually tried to get away with assault wasn't Ryo.
No, it was the bad guy.
Yeah, alright, so there's a good reason to go after this guy.
It's
okay,
a good,
great.
solid episode here. We're going to have some fun this week. Also in store for you guys on this week's episode of the podcast, we've got a little bit of extra news to cover because we got a new trailer.
Yay, we got more information about this trailer for this upcoming City Hunter movie entitled City Hunter the Movie Angel Dust. This is exciting though because we've been complaining about, where's this movie, Aniplex? What are you doing? We've been complaining about this for like a year and finally it's actually about to happen.
So it's going to drop here in September of this year.
9/8.
Yes, 9/8. So September 8th of this year. And I can only hope, because we're planning on going to Japan here in November. I can only hope it would still be playing.
You think it's gonna be in theaters
I
for
doubt
2 months?
No, I mean, I'm lying to myself about that. I know. Most movies, you're lucky if it sticks around a month.
Right, exactly. I can't imagine City Hunter lasting that long. But, you know, we could poke around, see what's going on, because I think it would take kind of a while for it to hit the internet. Because in Japan, it still is going to take a while for it to hit Blu-ray.
For home release,
For home release.
Or streaming, things like that.
Yeah, I think we still are going to be there too early for it to hit other kinds of distribution.
So, too early for home release, but too late to actually get to see it in the theaters.
Ain't that some shit?
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, let's talk to you guys about this trailer here. So the animation looks just the same as it did in Shinjuku Private Eyes back in 2019.
Right, this is an Aniplex run, but still animated by Sunrise Joint. Sunrise sure does look different now than it did 30 years ago.
And I don't have a lot of complaints about this animation.
No.
Just Kaori's little mullet.
Rat tail hair.
Yeah.
I've really had a problem these last two films with the way they draw her hair. Yeah, I think it's hideous. I think it's really bad.
It's too long.
It's kind of a mess. That having been said, there are some new characters, but like we've mentioned before, we're treading into territory that was manga-only territory. Some new characters include a woman named Angie, who's clearly just some blonde white woman who probably came from America. I don't know. Who knows? Any place where white women would think, I'm gonna take my cat with me to Japan and then film it, because that's what she's doing. She's filming it on her phone. I don't know, maybe she's making a YouTube video about it.
No, she is. It's there in the description.
Oh, well, she's making... Does it say YouTube? Like, there's also an Anime News Network article, right? To shoot a movie of her cat. It does not say YouTube.
This is totally for social media.
She's doing it on her phone, and so she loses her cat, and then she has to go to City Hunter and asks, please find my cat. And I'm wondering, like, why are we doing this along with, by the way, this is also a very deep and emotional story about meeting up with your adoptive father who was distributing angel dust, which is the drug that Makimura was out there to try to stop, and it's what got him murdered. Oh my god!
That's a lot, alright? That's a lot to take in right now.
So we're doing both of these plots, and I'm not really sure what they have to do with each other. Also, Cat's Eye is there. Again, I'm not really sure why.
But I'm here for it.
But cool. Okay, great.
Look, if Ryo was able to show up there in the Cat's Eye movie with Lupin, surely it's fine for Angel Eyes. I mean, Cat's Eye. Damn, all these terms. I'm not even joking. I just got all of those mixed up right now.
Leave it in. We're leaving it in.
I have to leave it in now. For
Cat's Eye.
Thank you. For Cat's Eye to show up and have to help out Ryo again.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just like, wow, we're doing a lot with this movie. But also, we're doing so much with this movie. Also, there's now 2 assassins that want to murder Ryo. 2 wet works guys, whatever that is. They're trying to murder Ryo for some reason. And like, the video creator is like, hey, Kaori, what would you do if Ryo got murdered? And Kaori's response is, oh, he's not gonna die.
I mean, he's lived through a lot.
He has lived through a lot. But they're actually bringing up Union Teope? I'm
For the
like,
first time ever in the anime.
right, the thing that they just dropped that plot entirely for the sake of the anime, and I'm not really sure why.
Well, because it's kind of the weird thing that the anime does where they replaced Union Teope in importance with Red Pegasus.
Which that doesn't make any sense, because they're technically the same thing, but Red Pegasus seems like they are fundamentally worse at their job
Than Union
than
Teope.
Union Teope is. In any case, I'm looking at this trailer and I'm like, there's no way this is the whole movie. Like, there's no way this is the whole story. You cannot possibly tell me, oh, we're gonna blow through the entirety of the Angel Dust shit
In 2 hours.
and Union Teope and Ryo's adoptive father in the same 2 hours where you've introduced 2 new assassins and some YouTuber lady with a cat.
And Cat's Eye.
And Cat's Eye is also there. So when they say, oh, this is the start of the final story or whatever it was they said in the last trailer, I think they mean, oh, it's the start, all right, and there's gotta be another movie after
At least
this.
one more. Because they've got too much story to cover.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be too top heavy, and it would make the story that's being told in one single movie suffer.
Right.
And so we're looking at this stuff, and we see that they've got the character of Shin Kaibara in here. That's a real important character for Ryo's backstory.
It's really funny because his actor is clearly not as old as Ryo's actor, Akira Kamiya. Because Kamiya's been doing the voice of this character for more than 30 years, and so he's a very old man now, but his dad is younger than him.
And it's cool that, along with Kamiya, all the old cast is coming back.
Right.
The core cast for Kaori, Umibozu, Sayako, Miki, all of them are coming back for this.
Yeah, that's great. And like the only people that aren't coming back are one member of the original Cat's Eye anime who sadly has passed away by this point.
And then we've got the 2 Wetworks guys. Tomokazu Seki is one of them, veteran voice actor, done a lot of work. And then the other Wetworks guy is Subaru Kimura.
Yeah, sorry, but fuck that guy. There's some issues with him. Like, if you don't know, look up stuff about Subaru Kimura and blackface. It's kind of a problem. Also, the times that he thought it would be really funny for him to take a picture of himself eating a small personal pizza and then equating that to a photo of a traditional African person with a piercing through his lip and thinking that was really a funny, cool thing to do and put on social media. I'm sure you thought that was very funny and amusing.
And yet he keeps getting work.
He keeps getting work because
You piece of shit.
I don't know, Japan doesn't seem to fucking care. Okay, cool. Great. Now this guy's in City Hunter. Well, I really hope this gets a dub, because the last movie got a dub, and guess what? I'm just gonna watch the dub. That's just gonna be what happens.
At least we can rest confident in the idea that Ryo will kill that character off, and then we'll never have to see him again.
Surely this guy's gonna die. God, please tell me this guy dies. I hope.
I mean, he's going up against
dies.
Ryo. I don't care if he's hopped up on Angel Dust or whatever, which they've changed
Oh yeah,
now.
now also Angel Dust is more than just like cocaine. Now
well, it's not like, okay, because in the original work, in the original manga, it wasn't just like a drug, it was like super cocaine.
I mean, it was like a super drug. Like
Super cocaine.
It was a drug, but it was super drugs. Ultra cocaine. It was super ultra crack, heroin, cocaine, meth.
Yes.
And now it's nanomachines.
Nanobots.
We got nanobots in the blood, and that's what Angel Dust is. But okay.
I mean, I get it. You know,
right.
you want to lean less heavily into the drug culture, fine. I can understand that. You'll find a way to make it work, Aniplex. I correct myself. You better find a way to make that work, Aniplex.
I mean, Sunrise is the one that's actually animating it, and then Aniplex is the distributor. All of you make sure that this works, please. Yeah.
And then Sound Cadence for Shinjuku Private Eyes. They had the dub, right?
Yes. And that then got distributed through Discotech.
So hopefully we'll see that again. Eventually that'll come over here.
Fingers crossed, because somebody else who had worked on it over at Sound Cadence, Marissa Lenti, even tweeted out that they were really hoping, oh, fingers crossed that we get this. So they don't necessarily know yet at this point in time.
I mean, it's still really early, all things considered.
But they really want to. They want to work on it.
I really want them to get it, because I actually really liked that dub.
I did too, yeah.
So yeah, that's everything catching us up with Angel Eyes. We'll, of course, give you guys more information as we get it, and we'll probably have more to complain about, whether we like it or not.
But if we like it, we won't be complaining about it. No, it's cool. Subaru Kimura is still in it, and we will still complain about it.
Yeah,
we're guaranteed to complain about that later.
Yeah. He is our I ain't forgot about you.
We still ain't forgot about you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
He's that guy for us. But that having been said, let's go ahead and get on with today's episode.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about that.
We should do a podcast. You want to do a podcast?
What?
We're already hitting record. You don't have a choice.
Where am I?
Why do you do this to me? Okay, so we start our episode off this week with a little girl running down the street with her dad's lunchbox because he's left for work without it. We never get the name of this little girl.
And yet she's the great motivating factor behind quite a bit of the plot of this story.
And see, here's the thing. We're going to put this out there like we always do. Sunrise, you done messed up again this week. None of the new characters that you introduce in this episode are ever named. Any of them.
Oh, none of them, huh?
None of them!
Not even the guy we'll see later who brags about all the rich clothes he wears, huh?
No!
Wow.
Y'all completely forgot to name any of your characters this week.
They are really bad about that. I was thinking for a while, they're really bad about doing that to their women. But actually, no, it's not just their women. It's anybody who's not in the main cast, huh?
Some weeks, yeah, and this is one of those weeks.
Yeah, they fucked up. Alright, cool.
So this adorable little girl is running down the street here. We're just gonna call her...
She's just little girl.
Little girl, okay.
So little girl is running down the street, and Sayako's there on the street, and she runs into Sayako, and Sayako's like, hey, little girl, what are you doing? And she's like, oh no, my dad left without his lunch. I gotta go take him his lunch, bye. And she keeps trying to run down the street, and then shabams!
And then a car bomb goes off right nearby where the little girl is, and for the moment you think, oh god, did we just lose this little girl right here in the opening seconds of this show? What the hell are you doing to me this week, Sunrise? Thankfully, she's okay. She lives.
Well, I mean, okay is,
She still needs a hospital. She still needs hospitalization.
Cause Sayako's like, oh my god, this kid, she's knocked out, she's bleeding. I gotta do something about this shit.
Yeah.
She's suddenly extremely motivated by this car bombing that has gone off.
And for what it's worth, I think this is probably one of the, if not the best Sayako episode, in that she's not nearly as selfish.
She actually looks like she's motivated to do her job for the right reasons this time.
Exactly.
So this little girl ends up in the hospital. She's basically knocked out the entirety of the episode, and we don't talk to her again until the end of the episode. So, but this little girl, for as little time as we spend with her, is still, like I said, the motivating factor behind the whole episode.
And actually, I'm going to take it back. We do get one name, and you have to kind of be listening for it. So Sayako goes ahead and goes back to the police department and reports in, hey, this is everything that happened. Does this have anything to do with the bank robberies that have been happening lately? This is the third one this month. Apparently, every time a bomb goes off, there's a bank robbery within the vicinity. I want in on this case.
And then the chief be like, no.
And she's like, no, I'm gonna do it anyway. Also, potential blackmail. You've been sleeping with somebody other than your wife.
Well, she says, hey, you've got lipstick on your collar, and the guy freaks out, like,
and
oh,
checks.
where? And there isn't any. But Sayako's like, made you look. So the guy definitely is cheating on his wife, even though there really is no proof of it, honestly. But it is how she manages to get away with, well, if I blackmail this guy, I'm gonna go and do whatever I want, and I'm gonna get revenge for this little girl.
Now, they do mention kind of in passing that they think they know who the person is that's done this, and it's a guy by the name of Sawamura. So I'm going to make the assumption that Sawamura is the guy we're about to get introduced to later with the expensive clothing.
But even then, like, is he?
No, we don't know. Sawamura could be the guy at the end of the episode.
Because they didn't attach Sawamura to a photo.
No, they didn't. We just know it's someone named Sawamura. We don't know who that is.
But maybe it's this guy.
I'm just going to make that assumption.
Maybe if we looked through the credits and we saw, like, Sawamura, voiced by blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that. So over at Kaori and Ryo's apartment, they hear about the bombing on the news, and Kaori's like, man, why don't these crooks just do an honest day's work?
Unlike somebody we know over here.
And Ryo's just there on the couch reading another dirty magazine.
As he does.
When the phone goes off.
And Ryo answers that phone.
Because Kaori's like, you get it. Don't make me do it. Do your own damn dirty work.
And he answers it. And it's Sayako, and she's like, hey, I just wanted to check in. And Ryo was like, I don't want to talk to you because you owe me a lot of sexy times. And she's like, oh, that's a shame. All I wanted was sexy times. Ryo falls for this like an idiot.
Every time.
And I'm just over over here like, usually I'm really mad at Sayako, like, man, she really takes advantage of this guy, but at the same time, Ryo is kind of proving to me that he deserves it right this second, because he's so eager for it. He's just a moron. He's just so dumb, and he's like, sweet, I'm gonna go get ready for sexy times, and we're gonna meet up, and we're gonna have sexy times. And he hangs up the phone, and Kaori's like, so who was that?
It was the wrong number. I gotta go, bye.
Obviously, Kaori's like, well, that's weird. She doesn't actually do much about it, though.
She just kind of side-eyes him, and she makes her way to go do errands for the day, which happens to take her specifically to Tozai Bank.
Well, now we know where City Hunter does their banking.
We forgot to check whether or not there really is a Tozai Bank there in Shinjuku.
I'm gonna look that up right now. Tozai Bank, Shinjuku. No.
That's what I thought. And see, here's the thing. Kaori goes to the bank because back in the day, you couldn't just do this online or digitally because that stuff didn't exist yet. You had to go, like, down there and check on your balance, right? And so she's checking and she's seeing that
if you have a bank book, though, like, you balance your checkbook. So you know how much you have because you're doing the balancing yourself.
But she is having to go down there to do this. We see her doing that. And she's saying, basically to herself, but also to the audience, that because the last several jobs they have done have been pro bono, specifically for Sayako, they're kind of in the ruts financially right now.
Right, but also she's down there to pull out 100,000 yen.
Which equates to about $1,000 American?
Not anymore, because the yen is so weak right now.
Right now, yeah.
But sure, just for simplicity's sake, let's say it's like $1,000.
And let's say she's holding on to that. She needs that for groceries, for rent, whatever she needs, whatever City Hunter needs.
Well, too bad, because now there's a bank robbery!
Because another bomb has just gone off across the street, and these three dudes decide to storm the bank and take everyone's money, including what Kaori is holding in her hand.
And they run out the door, and they get in their car, and Kaori's like, oh no, my money. Well, you motherfuckers aren't getting away with that shit. She chases them. When I say out the door, I mean physically just barreling through the glass of the door.
Looney Tunes style, like it leaves her outline in the glass
door. As
door.
if the glass wouldn't just shatter into a million pieces if you break it. But no, we're doing this very cartoon style, and you can see the shape of Kaori running through the glass as she clings to the backside of the car.
Well, she does this like
$6 million man
this Inspector Gadget jump.
And
grabs onto the back of the van like, oh, you ain't going nowhere. I want my shit.
And they just drive off with her on the back of it. They don't stop to try to kick her off or anything. Like, she goes along for this ride, and she's extremely determined. Like, I need that $1,000 very badly.
But, I mean, like, I've been there. I get it. If you only
You've been robbed of $1,000 and said, give me back my $1,000?
Well, thankfully, no. But what I'm saying is when you only have so much money to your name and you, like, drop it or lose it, you will do anything to get it back. You will go anywhere and to any lengths to get the little bit of money you need back. Because that's the life of being broke.
That's true. But at the same time, like, these are robbers with guns and bombs. And I'm just like...
Kaori don't give a damn.
I guess not. You remember when she got really mad over a faux fur coat?
Oh, yeah, this is exactly the same kind of mad.
When you start messing around with Kaori's belongings...
No, specifically, you don't mess with her money.
Right. That's when you start to see a problem. And you start to see a version of Kaori that doesn't really need help or assistance from anybody else all that bad.
Not inherently, because Kaori, when somebody's messed with her money, she's like Liam Neeson. Like, she's coming after that money. She has methods. She will find you, and she will hammer you.
In this case, it's not the hammer. I don't think she brings out a hammer the whole episode.
Yeah, I don't think she did.
But there's some other good weapons. They're coming.
So later on that night, Ryo is meeting up with Sayako, as, was spoken about over the phone. And he's just out there all cool, leaning up against the Mini. And he's got these aviators on that he never wears.
It's nighttime, by the way.
He wears his sunglasses at night.
While he's parked next to a cool-looking phone booth. Because he thought, maybe somebody will film me for a music video. What's TM Network doing right now? Like, that's how he's looking at the moment.
Meanwhile, TM Network somewhere across Japan. Dun 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 dun. Please see the other podcast episode for the reference for that joke.
Anyway, Sayako eventually does show up, and she's dressed very nicely. Like, very evening gown, very nicely.
Now, this speaks to something about the episode, which is this is another case where the art direction or the art director might have been a little different for this episode. I really like it when it's done like this because it's very 80s anime. You know, there's very clear lines. Everybody's got a clear-cut shape. Sayako's boobs look amazing this episode.
Oh my god. They're cartoon boobs, Josh.
Yeah, but you see that, like, they're really accentuating her chest this episode.
She has large breasts. Yes, they are large cartoon character breasts. Have a Jessica Rabbit reference here or something. I don't know.
Not
cartoon breasts.
Not quite to that extent.
Cartoon
but
breasts.
they were on their way there.
Fake, not real, hand-drawn cartoon breasts.
I'm gonna have to cut some of these. That's too many breasts.
Josh, who says that's too many breasts? Nobody says that's too many breasts.
Someone who has limits. So having taken one look at her, Ryo's like, well, I've seen all I need to see, and just scoops Sayako up and just runs her ass to the nearest hotel that she needs to be at, City Hotel.
Oh yeah, City Hotel, you know, one of the hotels that we see on the regular alongside Sun Hotel,
Sun City Hotel.
City and Sun City.
Yes.
Sure, we have those.
It's like Motel 6 and Super 8. They're like right next to each other.
Exactly, but they're nicer than those.
Oh yeah, way nicer. And so here in the lobby, Sayako calms Ryo down and says, okay, well, we can do stuff, but would you like to have a drink first?
Oh yeah, she always stalls like this. This is always how this goes. And Ryo falls for it every single time.
Yeah.
So he leaves her alone sitting in the lobby.
So he can go get drinks.
So he goes to get drinks, but this is so that Sayako can get an eye on the people she actually wants to have an eye on here.
So, like, there's a lobby, there's a lower lobby, and then up on the second floor, there seems to be another, like, lounge area where there's two dudes talking. There's a dude who's dressed very nicely and a thug. And so I'm going to assume, I'm going to make that assumption right now, that the nicely dressed man is Sawamura. I'm just going to call him Sawamura for the rest of the podcast.
But again, we are kind of just making an assumption.
We could be wrong, but what the hell?
I mean, this is Sunrise's fault. If we are wrong, it isn't our fault.
No, it's Sunrise's fault.
It's Sunrise's fault.
This is on you. And so the thug is reporting into Sawamura, hey, just so you know, the last heist went off without a hitch. In about an hour, all the money's going to be moved out to the ship.
Oh, well, we're going back to ships again.
Ships and docks. Yep, that's our bread and butter.
Okay, great, thank you. Also, I'm looking down right now at a very pretty woman. And that pretty woman is Sayako. And we're kind of both winking at each other like, hey, we're interested.
And it's just at this moment that Ryo comes back up with 2 drinks like, hey, so I got those drinks. Can we get to the horny stuff now?
But now Sayako has to play this off. And she just starts yelling at him like, why do you keep doing this to me? Why are you following me around? You're so creepy, you're so pushy, go away. And Ryo is just like, excuse me, you invited me here, what is happening right now?
And as you would figure, because mind you, she planned all this, she knew exactly what she wanted to happen, and that's exactly how it went down. Sawamura, the rich looking dude, comes downstairs and steps in between Ryo and Sayako like, hey, why don't you leave the lady alone? She's better off with a man like me.
What, a guy who only wears rich people clothes and nothing else? Why yes, let me drop the names of these name brands right now just to tell you how rich I am.
I'm wearing Brooks Brothers and Paul Stewart and all these other name brands.
And these are real name brands, mind you. They're very rich and very fancy, and they've been in movies, and lots of famous people wear these clothes.
And Ryo's like, oh great, you want a friggin' medal for all those? Like, come on, man, who cares?
But fine, Sayako doesn't want me anymore, I guess I'll just go. And it seems like legitimately kind of hurt by what has happened just now, but thankfully, before he walks out the door, somebody stops him at the door like a bellhop, or some guy up there is like, sir, the other member of your party has left you a note. And we don't get to read this note right away, but it does mean that now Ryo's getting some other piece of information that he did not previously have about what's going on. But he does leave.
And so Sawamura over here is now trying to put the moves on Sayako, and by put the moves I mean explain how incredibly rich he is and how he always gets everything he wants.
And Sayako's like, well, didn't I just tell the other guy that I don't like pushy men? No, go away. And she throws a drink in his face, and he's like, I can't believe that woman rejected me. Well, I'm just gonna take her by force then. Which, you know, totally non-rapey men totally say about women.
You know, it's Father's Day as we're recording this. Fathers, teach your boys how to take no for an answer. Do that for me. Do that for all the women out there.
Sayako's plan was to just be like, all right, I got whatever information I thought I needed, or I got a look at him or something. She got some piece of information on where this guy was or something. And her plan was to just walk out the door and meet up with Ryo again. But that did not happen.
Well, no, what happens is, as she's trying to step out the door herself, sure enough, the thugs that were with the dude upstairs in the other lounge pick her up from either side, toss her in a car, and take off with her.
Exactly.
Which, thankfully, Ryo saw all that, because now we see what was on the cocktail napkin that he was given, and it just says, wait outside.
Right, so he realizes, oh, well, she had a plan this whole time. I guess that makes sense, but had I not gotten this cocktail napkin, I would have been all sad and I would have just gone home. So good thing she sent me that, but now I see that she slipped up and she got herself kidnapped. Well, that's pretty unusual for her. She's usually smarter than that. It's interesting how even he has to agree. You know, sometimes I'm a moron, and I'm the one that falls for her shit, because she is kind of clever. Why was she not clever this time and got her ass kidnapped? That's weird.
Well, no, see, that's the thing. She wanted to get kidnapped. She wanted to go to wherever they were taking her, which happens to be this yacht. And so now she's there on the yacht, and dude is pushing her even further, like, hey, so you want to link up with me? I'm really rich. And she's like, I don't know, let me think about it.
But that's part of her plan, too, is to kind of lead him along and string him along and get a little bit more information out of him.
And so once she tells him, let me think about it. I'm not going to say no, but I got to think about it. And he's like, all right, fine, but you're staying here on the boat. Lock her up.
But while they're taking her out to go get thrown into some other room on the boat, you're hearing the screams of another familiar voice.
A very angry voice coming throughout the ship.
Why have you brought me here? And where's my 100,000 yen?
It's Kaori. Again, remember, she held onto the van, which probably drove back here to the yacht, waited for them to get on the yacht, and instead of like being any sort of like stealthy or investigative, like, I don't know, a detective or something, no, she just busted her ass onto the boat and was like, hey, where the hell's my money, bitch?
And they're like, I'm sorry, boss, she just followed us here. And he's just like, she followed you here?
Well, no, he says, who is this dude?
Well, yeah, I mean, that happens first. Yeah, so once again, Kaori has been misgendered. Haha, very funny. We're doing this misgendering act again.
But, like, she's already pissed. The only thing that would make it worse is misgendering her.
But yeah, she followed, and so, like, yeah, these guys are really, really bad at their job, that they did not notice that she was screaming and jumping onto the back of their car, and they just took off with her, and she rode all the way there, and that's when they found her, was when she was all the way there?
That's crazy to me. Like, you wouldn't look out the back? Like, you had just committed a bank robbery, right? You usually have a guy looking out the back to see if the cops are following you.
There's 3 dudes!
Yeah, there was 3 of them. None of y'all saw her? None of y'all saw her.
I guess not. Anyway, so now they gotta lock her up, too.
And so when the goons get the order to take her into lockup, wherever it is here on the boat, you see Ryo looking through the porthole of the boat, because he has watched all of this go down, and he's looking through the porthole like David Tennant in that one episode of Doctor Who where him and Donna meet up again, just like wide-eyed, like, oh god, I mean, they're both here.
I followed Sayako here, but now Kaori's here too?
Kaori?
Why?
What are you doing
What are
here?
you doing here?
So up on the deck of the ship, one of the grunts who has a little bit of sense tries to tell Sawamura, hey man, I don't trust that first chick you picked up. She might be like trying to get in on something.
And our main dude here is like, well, don't rain on my parade. Okay, I guess.
Hey, don't interrupt me being rapey. Like, that's the vibe.
Well, yeah, and he's like, you're gonna pour cold water on my fun? Oh, this is fun to you, is it? Potentially getting forceful and rapey, that's the fun part, huh? That's kind of fucked, but alright.
And so while they're arguing up on the top deck, Ryo finds his way to where Saiko has been stashed, and he's like, alright, I can get you out of here, but none of this makes sense to me, so I need you to fill in some stuff for me. So, you're not stupid. I know right now you're not stupid. You're working a case right now, and you probably know where they're keeping the money, because I know this has to do something with the bank heists. Why are you here physically right now? I don't understand that.
So she kind of halfway explains, like, I have my reasons, this was totally unforgivable, but she kind of just flashbacks in her own head about the little girl almost getting blown up by a car bomb, but she kind of doesn't explain it out loud.
And Ryo's just kind of confused, like, what? I could you tell me what you're thinking about? I'd like to see that. And as as he's being more inquisitive about it, there's a knock at the door, and it's Rapey Sawamura again.
So Ryo has to now hide in the couch. Sayako lifts up all the cushions on the couch, and there's really not any room for him, like, physically inside the couch, but he's in there anyway, and Sayako has to sit on top of that couch, and then guy we think is named Sawamura comes in and also sits on the couch, right on Ryo's face, I guess. Very amusing. So the guy can tell, hey, something's wrong with this sofa, but we're not gonna do anything about it, I guess.
And so he's still asking, hey, so have you agreed to my proposal yet? I have money.
And Sayako's like, maybe I'll tell you later. And he's like, okay, good enough for me, because he's an idiot.
Thankfully. Meanwhile, on the other end of the ship, Kaori is just raising hell in her holding room. Just, let me out! Let me out! I want my money! Give me the money!
I still want my $1,000! I think it's really funny that she is focused so hard on just the amount of money that was taken from her, and not the fact that they robbed an entire ass bank and did a car bombing. Like, she's not mad about any of that, just about the damage that was done to her personally.
Oh yeah, it's personal. That's the whole point. And then the dude watching her is just like, shut the hell up. And he goes back to reading his dirty magazine.
Which, what was it?
It's called Erotopia.
Erotopia.
And so Kaori's like, alright, they won't let me out. I'm gonna have to get creative. So she starts making noises.
Noises that sound like they're coming out of the Erotopia magazine.
She's like, oh, no, don't, not there, don't touch me like that, no, and the dude on the other end of the door knows she's the only one in there.
But he's still gotta go check.
But he's gotta go check. He's like,
hey, what's going on in here?
Yeah, I wanna hear this. He opens the door, and like he deserves, he got kicked to sleep.
He just gets kicked to sleep. She took care of herself just fine. This is another situation where I thought, oh no, Kaori's gotten herself kidnapped again. Ryo's gonna have to come save her again. No, actually, she got herself the fuck out. This dude is knocked out cold on the floor, and Kaori just goes somewhere. We don't see where she goes initially, but Ryo actually kind of swings by there, apparently not too long after, and he looks and this door is wide open and this guy is knocked out in front of the door, and he's like, oh my god, what happened here? Was Kaori here? Oh my god.
And see, this is the thing that's really scary when you think about it in retrospect, is that Ryo checks the room that Kaori was being held in, and off in the corner is just this pile of explosives.
Yeah, Kaori didn't think, oh, in the corner here, there's a bunch of TNT and like an alarm clock. So they made time bombs. They locked her in the same room as a bunch of time bombs. She didn't even pay attention to that. She was still very focused on her 100,000 yen.
She ain't got time for that.
She ain't got time bombs for that.
Oh my god. But having found the time bombs, Ryo's like, okay, I could use this later.
Yeah, so let's put a pin in that.
And then Sayako goes, like, this is the thing that doesn't make sense. Sayako was left on her own. There's nobody guarding her door, so she just leaves.
Dude didn't lock her in the room unless Ryo got himself back out because he's good at doing that. How did Ryo leave? Because he got himself in the room initially, so he had to have left. Well, he left first.
No, he would have left after Sawamura left. So once
That's what I'm telling you. Like, he left before Sayako did.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? So did Ryo pick the lock on that door and get himself out? He left first, and then Sayako waited a couple of minutes and then left after him?
I would say that would be potentially what happened, because that seems like the answer with the least amount of questions.
But also nobody's guarding that door.
But nobody's guarding that door, yeah. We're agreed on that.
Yeah.
This is kind of a two-bit operation.
Uh-huh.
So Sayako goes looking around, and she finds where all the stolen money is.
So everybody's all in different parts of the ship, and they're finding their own different crazy shit going down.
And it's at this point that the dude who had suspicions about Sayako finds her like, ha! I knew you were trying to pull one over on us.
It's him and some other henchman dude. And everybody's firing guns now. It's a blam, blam, blam. And then Sayako's like, I got my leg gun. I'm gonna pull it from my little leg holster. A blam, blam, blam.
So she's returning fire at these guys. There's a gunfight here in the hallway. She's running away. Her dress gets hit, but she's still moving. She's fine. And then she runs into Kaori.
Coming in the other direction.
And she's like, what are you doing here? And Sayako's like, I don't got time for that. Let's go. And there's this really nice bit of animation here of Sayako running down the hallway, Kaori facing the opposite direction and then meeting up and then now going in the same direction.
It's pretty good, yeah.
And then right after that, they duck into a door, and then just out from the other side comes Ryo, returning fire from these guys, because obviously he would have heard the gunshots.
And now Ryo's like, just keep going, I got this.
Like, Ryo doesn't even know entirely, like, he knows some of what's going on. All he knows is that the two women that he knows best are being shot at, so that makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, just start shooting at the obvious bad guys.
So at least one grunt goes to tell Sawamura, hey, there's a gunfight happening downstairs. I'm pretty sure that chick is trying to pull one over on us.
And this dumb guy, he's like, what? She flipped on me? She's such a traitor. I'm just like, my guy, that's never what this was.
It was never about that. She was never interested in you.
Anyway, so there's this other guy down the hall. He's really good with his gun. Yeah, you might want to do something about that. But we're really close to this other boat. That's not the word they use.
No, they use the word promontory, which we looked up, and that's supposed to be like a little piece of land jutting out into the water, but that's not where they go. They're just meeting up with another boat, potentially out in international waters.
Yeah, I don't know where they are. Anyway.
And long story short, this is an arms deal that's about to happen.
So they've stolen a bunch of money from a bunch of banks, right? So that dude with the rich clothes can take that money and buy a bunch of guns and explosives from the other boat that they have just met up with.
And this other guy, who is also not named, but is dressed in some form of Asian attire.
He's some kind of Asian. Good lord. Oh my god.
Look, I'm just repeating back what I saw.
Anyway, so all of these thugs in their thug suits and hats and glasses.
Very mobster style.
Hey, see, we're gonna trade the money and we're gonna bring back all the explosives and all the guns and shit, yeah.
And so one grunt that seems a little taller than everybody else is moving stuff across the ships, but he also seems to have one of the time bombs on him and places it in the other boat.
This is Ryo. You can clearly tell it's just Ryo dressed in a nice black suit.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's Ryo.
Yeah, so he's cleverly placed a time bomb for later.
Well, yeah, it's technically not even a time bomb anymore. It's just a bomb. And so once the deal is done and dude's like, all right, you got your money? Yeah, you got your stuff? Yeah, great. We'll see you again next Thursday. That's when Sayako comes popping out from on top of the boat.
And Sayako's like, oh no, you don't! Freeze! Ugokuna!
Ugokuna!
I'm a cop, and I'm over here like, once again, this is not the first time I have asked this question, but are you still under your own jurisdiction right now? How far out are you?
We don't know.
Is this still technically Tokyo? Because I'm not so sure it is.
Look, they don't need to know that. Just yell you're under arrest as loud as you can.
And it works, because these guys are like, ah, shit, it's the cops. We fucked up. Or at least Rich Guy says that. And the other Asian guy who originally had the weapons was like, man, this is exactly what I was worried about. Why did I trust you?
So Rich Dude tries to pull a gun on Sayako, but Ryo reveals himself and then shoots the gun out of that guy's hand, hits play, so Footsteps is now going. And you would think, all right, this is going to be this cool shootout between Ryo and the other thugs, right? Wrong. No, this is about Kaori now.
And she's still just like, I just want my $1,000. That is the only reason why I'm here. It's not even a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, right? And she's on a chain gun on this boat because this boat, for some reason, has a chain gun.
Well, they were the ones with all the arms, so it figures that she found one.
Oh, she found one, and she's just firing indiscriminately as she does when she has a gun.
And so even Sayako and Ryo are like, what the hell are you doing? We're in the line of fire. Stop it.
We had this covered, actually. We were good, but you're so mad, you just started firing this chain gun on everyone.
And Kaori's still up there like, ah! And all these dudes are just jumping off the boat. And so Ryo hasn't fired another shot. He hasn't had to. Everybody else is just getting the hell off the boat.
It sort of seems like Kaori did her job then, although I can imagine Sayako would be unhappy because it makes it harder to arrest those guys who jumped off the boat.
I mean, so long as she gets the main dude, then it's probably okay.
I guess so.
But after all that firing, Kaori's just like, oh my god, that's so therapeutic. I can get into this.
But the dudes who were trading the weapons to the rich guy are like, man, fuck this. We are out of here. Set sail. We gotta go. And so they take off and they think, well, at least we're getting out of this scot-free. Nobody's gonna be arresting or shooting us today.
And so Ryo pulls his gun and we see that he's planted the charge for the bomb that he set up on the back of the other boat. And he just has to hit, X marks the spot. Shabams. That boat goes down. It's sinking. We have stopped this illegal arms trade.
I guess we're just going to assume that Sayako was able to arrest somebody?
Well, yeah, because they've still got Sawamura on the other ship.
Was she able to call in for backup to assist with the arresting process?
I don't know. I mean, it's just her, so I imagine they just turned the boat around.
Yeah, but okay. And also, we've got to do recovery of the money that was on the boat that sank. Because Kaori was really upset, like, man, now I've lost all my money too. But Ryo ensured, no, we've stopped the boat, so Sayako is going to have to recover this money.
Well, she better, because, the reason she only has $1,000 is because Sayako hasn't been paying them. I thought it was weird that right here at the end, Sayako refers to Sawamura, just there in a slump on the boat as a hot mess.
Yeah, I might not have used specifically the term hot mess for a show that takes place and was created in 1988. I don't know, I feel like that's not terminology that was commonly being used yet at that point in time.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of an anachronism.
In any case, we see just a couple more scenes that I'm not really sure why they were there unless they needed to fill a few more seconds worth of time and they weren't really sure how to do it. There's just this external shot of Ryo and Kaori's apartment building and you hear voiceover of Kaori saying, you need to make sure that Sayako pays you from now on, and Ryo says, okay, well then leave it to me, and that's that scene. And then suddenly
he's at the drugstore.
He's at the drugstore and he's drinking his Mokkori energy drink that we've seen a total of one other time before in the past.
He's drinking his horny juice and he's like, all right, I'm properly horny. I'm going to find Sayako and do things to her.
And then that scene is over. I just am not really sure why we did that. Because it has nothing to do with anything that comes afterwards either.
So now we're back at the hospital, which if it was me, I would have just cut straight from the boat.
All we need to do is go to the hospital, where Sayako is talking to the little girl who was
woken up out of her coma
next to the explosion, and now she's awake and she's talking. She still needs to recover, but Sayako has brought her a box to lunch to make her feel better and says, hey, yeah, eat this lunch, get better, and then you can go back to making lunches for your dad again, who ran away too early without his lunch and got you into this situation in the first place.
Mind you, the dad's fine. We did see him earlier stopping by the hospital, so he's okay. Just putting that out there. Because, for a second there at the beginning, I thought the dad died in the explosion. And I was like, oh my god, this girl's an orphan now. But no, apparently the dad's fine.
No, she just was too near an exploding car at the wrong time, that's all.
Well, thank god that's all that was. And so Ryo's on the other side of the door listening to this conversation, and he's like, oh, so that's why she got herself involved.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna go. This isn't the right time for any of this other confrontation. I'll see you later.
And so that's where we're ending the episode. He's walking out of the hospital. We get the freeze frame. He put the aviators back on.
And, it does look cool, but also his proportions are very strange. I don't know, his arms are so big and his head is so small. It was just very weird looking.
It looks like old school Bruce Timm DC animated universe art, the way he's so boxy in the top half.
Yeah, that's true.
And yes, Supergirl's playing, and that's the episode.
Okay, great. Yeah, it was a pretty good episode. And Ryo was the lesser rapey man in this episode.
I mean, he was thinking about it.
Well, he was not thinking about rape. He really thought he was going to have consensual sexy times for a second.
No, I guess you're right. Consent is important, and he thought he was going to get some. Consent. To get some. Yes.
Correct.
So the other guy that we're assuming was Sawamura, that guy's an asshole.
Maybe he was arrested. I don't know. We didn't see.
We assume he was arrested.
I guess. Once again, I feel like these episodes don't necessarily do a great job of telling the audience, hey, what happened to the guys that we were pursuing this entire time? They went just
away.
Gone. The problem is just over.
No, it's that mob answer, like, hey, where's Joey? He went away. But what about, hey, don't ask any more questions. He went away. Like, that's all it is. That's how Sunrise is treating us. So we need to not ask any more questions.
I guess not.
So next week on the podcast, we've got another multi-parter, and this one I think ties back to the manga.
Yeah, they're introducing a guy named Robert Harrison in the next episode. It's gonna be a two-parter. Some guy from Ryo's past who was also another sweeper from America, and he is very closely related to a manga character that, if I'm understanding this correctly, actually in this case, the anime influenced the manga, not the other way around, and Robert influenced
Mick Angel.
Mick Angel, who becomes much more important to the overarching narrative of the manga, and unfortunately this Robert guy, he's just here for this two-parter, and otherwise Robert and Mick are the same person, they are the same character. I don't know why they have two different names, it's very stupid, but Robert's gonna only be here for the 2 episodes and then he's gonna go away, and you're not gonna see him again.
This is another case of Red Pegasus Union Teope all over again.
Because Mick is tied into Union Teope, but the anime doesn't do Union Teope, so we can't.
I mean, not for another 35 years.
Yeah, not until, like, literally right now.
Right now. Or not even now.
2023.
Not until like 4 months from now.
Right.
So yeah, we're going to dive into that next week, and that'll probably be a long one because we're going to have to explain the difference between Robert and Mick.
Which actually isn't a lot.
Okay, so then maybe we got our work cut out for us.
We don't have our work cut out for us, because it's not a lot. The difference is they use 2 different kinds of guns. That's about it.
I can work with that.
Alright, great. So come back next time when we cover the 31st episode of City Hunter 2, So Long, My Friend, The Last Shot Echoing in My Heart, Part 1.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. For now, I'm at JoshKnightFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 81st episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm bringing the hammer down on Josh.
What'd I even do?